Welcome to the business of being healthy, where we are passionate about treating our health as good as we treat our wealth. Shelly Bryan here, and I am obsessed with sharing real life experiences and wisdom to help save you time, heartache, and money as you continue to grow personally and professionally. Twice a week, we push aside that BS to take massive intentional action. And I promise by tuning in, you will receive the straightforward talk you've been waiting for, filled with actionable steps that will inspire you to achieve the health and wealth you desire while you are building your empire. Welcome back to another episode here on the business of being healthy. And I am so excited that you have decided to listen in and be a part of this community. I can tell you, if you've sent me a DM, I just want to say thank you. Those absolutely mean the world to me. And so please keep reaching out. Please keep listening. Please keep sharing. My whole goal is to share this wisdom that either my expert guests have and or myself, so that it can save you time, money, or heartache. That is the whole goal of this Business of Being Healthy show. And today is one of those days as well. So I have a question. How often do you reset or readjust your goals? Now, that might seem like something, right? We're in Q2 of 2023, everyone resets their goals in the new year. And really, I have 3 takeaways that, looking back, I think that we could have done a little bit differently and had a significant different outcome. Now, again, there is no regrets on this show, F that. But what there is opportunities to learn from our past. And that's exactly what this is. So if you've been tuning in for a while, which I hope you have, you've been able to see listen in, I should say, on some of the earlier episodes. But, our 20s, Chris and I, we met very young, and our 20s, it was like house, married, jobs, doing all of the things. At 28 years old, we actually purchased land. We built a custom home that we were able to move into before we had our first child at 30. And I remember our 20s, and I'm sure many of you listening in right now remember those kind of earlier days where you're literally unstoppable. You can do anything. Nothing in the world is going to stop you. Maybe you haven't been hit a couple times yet with life, but you just are like, I can do it. I can get everything. I can have everything. And that's truly how we felt in our 20s. And then we had kids. Now, don't get me wrong. Literally, it is the most special. They are the most special thing in our lives. And it's one of those things that it's just like, I love looking at our children. I love looking more at how Chris and I have grown together and how our lives and our goals have changed with the addition of kids. So maybe you don't have kids. This episode is still going to be relevant to you because there could be periods in life. Maybe it was caring for a loved one. Maybe it was a huge career change. And you go through this like survival period. And I can tell you, with kids, and I'm parents listening in, that first child especially, you're like, oh my gosh, they are giving us a child. Like, this is crazy. And having all of that overwhelm, it's like your world stops. And that's essentially what happened to Chris and I. Now, again, for good reason. We had our first child at 30. We had our second at 32. So within that time period, we did a lot. We had just built our home, changed careers, we were building businesses, and we were in this survival mode. And quite honestly, all of our goals and our aspirations that we had in our 20s that we hit, we never reset for our 30s. Now, the reason being is because we had a big life event. We had 2 children. And so when that happened, we almost forgot that, hey, you hit your goals, now time to reset and hit new goals. Now, don't get me wrong. We, of course, had goals of like certain things we wanted to do, purchases that we wanted to make, but they were all shorter term, let's say. I was in my corporate career at this time. I was climbing ladders only to be told that I couldn't climb any further unless I moved, which starting a new family, that was one of my priorities, that we weren't moving. I was looking at a different company. I left to open up a franchise. I started a media company where I turned my passion into my business. And then I had a coaching business. Basically, I can tell you honestly and truthfully, Chris and I were pretty much flailing. I just shared my example. We were flailing around once we had the kids because I can truly look back right now because we never reset our goals based upon our new priority and our new reality as being parents. So it's one of those things that we can look back, we can chuckle at it, but man, here's what I would have done different. And that's what this episode is about today, is that I want to share those things that I would have done different because I want to help you not have that decade where you're flailing around, maybe like me. And it's truly because those goals were not set big enough and aligned with your priorities. That's how it was for me. That's why I'm sharing this. And so I can tell you some of the biggest takeaways of reassessing our goals and realigning, readjusting our goals based upon our priorities is that focus. We have all our efforts in one business, and I can tell you that one business is thriving. It is booming. We focus on our priorities and our goals. Chris and I are completely aligned. Now, it's been so crazy because we just celebrated 18 years married. We've been together 22, but we celebrated 18 years being married. It's an incredible milestone that we were both very proud of. We both had parents that were separated, and we basically learned what not to do, right, from our parents so that we could stay together, and we had some major priorities. So when I say we were flailing around, it's not a bad thing. But could we have maybe flailed around a little bit less? Absolutely. So now that we're in our 40s, I can tell you it is completely different and it has just been amazing. Don't get me wrong, it still has ups and downs, but it has been amazing. And so I wanted to leave you with 3 things really that Chris and I, after thinking about it, we would have done differently after we reached our goals in our 20s. Because we absolutely did. We kicked butt in our 20s. No one could stop us, even though everyone tried to tell us that we couldn't. And so because we didn't reset, we flailed around. Now we're aligned, ready to go, and we are killing it. And so here are the 3 things that we would have done differently. So number 1, we would have reassessed our priorities. So we were new parents. We had new priorities. We had priorities not only as a couple, but priorities as a parent, priorities leading businesses. And one thing that I absolutely would have done differently was forecast what our priorities would be 10 years ahead. When you have a newborn, it's just like a newborn business, everything is new. When you are 10 years out, it is completely different. Your confidence is different. Your lives are different. So being able to even not only reassess your priorities, but forecast priorities 10 years ahead, would we have created different business decisions and opportunities? Abso-freaking-lutely. I can tell you that. We're here now, but could we have done it sooner? Yes, we could have. So number 2 is set longer time horizons. Now, sometimes when we focus on the short term, it changes our goals based upon what we think is possible in that shorter time frame. Now, this we could go really deep into because I myself have had to really expand my thought processes there because those are conditions or stories that I've told myself, right? That I can only do X or we can only reach Y goal within these 2 years. Well, that's my condition I set on that time frame. But it's natural as humans for us to do that. So when you set longer time horizons, 10, 20 years, what are your priorities at that point? It can allow you to think much bigger than those short-term goals. The other thing that setting longer time horizons I alluded to earlier was You can evaluate business opportunities for strategy and long-term play versus just that short-term return. And I get it. When you're in your 20s versus your 30s and now 40s, you do have to go through that. You have to live through some of that experience. But when you set those longer time horizons and force yourself to think bigger and longer, things that you never even thought about will come to fruition. That way you can even assess whether it makes sense, whether it doesn't, and even start visualizing stronger in the future. And then number 3, this one is so near and dear to my heart, is ask help for mentors who have already navigated this time frame. It's almost something I think as entrepreneurs or business owners or just really goal-driven people is that sometimes we think it's like almost this like pride, like, oh, I can do it myself. I'm not asking for help. Like, we learn the hard way, but we learn well. Like, that is one of those things that I know that is a mindset that Chris and I had in our 20s and into our 30s. I can tell you, and that again is why I created this podcast, is asking for help from those who have already been in your shoes. Holy cow, it will save you incredible time, money, and heartache. So I had 2 conversations regarding a business that I did in 2018. Wow, now thinking back, 2018. And I had 2 conversations, and honestly, I wasn't ready to hear them. And I didn't listen or heed the advice of these mentors. And it hurt me. It did. It absolutely hurt the business decisions. But now, seeing that and understanding the power of community, the power of learning from others, you don't have to take the full lesson. But if you could take one little thing from other people, holy cow, let me tell you how much that will save you in time, heartache, and money. So when it comes to even being a mentor for someone else, like everyone, regardless of your level of success, truly, if you listen in to even the most successful business people, Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, all of these people, you listen in, they always had mentors. They always had someone to listen to. And that is why it is important to not only listen, but ask. That is the hardest part sometimes for us as entrepreneurs, is to ask. So just to summarize and bring it back, because these are 3 things that I know would have catapulted Chris and I further forward faster. And that's why I'm sharing it here with you, is to reassess your priorities, set longer time horizons, and then ask for help from mentors who have already navigated what you are going through or what you think or forecast you may be going through. So I hope that sharing this today helped you kind of think about it. For us, the big life event was having kids. Maybe it's getting married. Maybe it's a divorce and a remarry and melding together families. There are lots of different things. Maybe it's starting a business, closing a business. Holy cow, Chris and I did that. Closing lots of businesses. There are so many life events, but if we don't take time to reassess our goals and set those new ones, we can sit there flailing around for years, gathering experience, but could we do what we want, get to where we want in a shorter amount of time with a lot less heartache and money spent? Absolutely. So hope you had took something from this episode, even if it's one tiny thing, and you know someone else that is maybe in that flailing period right now, I encourage you, please share this episode with them. Share it on Instagram, tag me. I'd love to give you all the love in the world for doing so, and you could truly be the hero for someone else by sharing. Tune in next time.